Hello, I'm Douglas Barr from the Congleton and District Metal Detecting Club. I'm going to give a short presentation talking about a coin that I found a few years ago. This coin is not particularly valuable, it's not particularly rare or anything like that, but there are a few significant points that are worthy of note. I found this coin on a cold January morning a few years ago when the Metal Detecting Club were detecting in a field in the hills above Rushton Spencer. Nobody was finding very much of interest that particular morning, and my detector suddenly came across a very interesting signal where it looked like there may very well be a coin in the ground. I dug a hole where the signal had originated from, and sure enough, there appeared to be a coin in that hole. It was covered in mud, and it looked about the size of an old pre-decimal halfpenny. So I was thinking that, oh well, at least this is something identifiable rather than just a ring pull or a piece of foil or something anonymous like that. However, as I cleared the mud off the coin, things started to get more interesting. Firstly, I could see that it was a coin with the name of King William on it. So my first thought was, well, okay, if it's William IV, he was the monarch immediately before Queen Victoria, therefore this coin is almost 200 years old. However, as I cleared more mud off, it became clear that it was actually William III, and that the coin dated from 1696, and that it was a silver shilling. I was quite new to metal detecting at the time, so when I showed this to a more experienced member of the club, he suggested that I should walk out in a circle from the point where I had found this to a radius of about 10 feet or thereabouts, because it was quite unlikely that the coin was the only thing that whoever had dropped this actually dropped. There might be more and other interesting finds to be found in a fairly small radius of this particular coin. I did that, and I didn't find anything else. This coin appeared to be just on its own. So I cleaned the coin up, and the members of the club agreed that it was probably one of the best finds of the day. And here it is, a 1696 William III shilling. As I said, not particularly valuable, not particularly unusual, but quite significant in a number of ways. Obviously, a coin is rather anonymous, and you can't tell a great deal about who it was that dropped it or anything like that. However, 1696 is a very significant year for the coinage of Great Britain. Prior to William III, most coinage was silver and what's called hammered coins. Hammered coins were made by hammering a piece of silver in a mould, and the end shape of the coin, although nominally round, could be somewhat irregular. This meant that people could clip pieces of silver from the coin and keep them for themselves. Therefore, it reduced the value of the coins themselves. To put an end to this, William introduced milled edges to coins. Now, these are familiar today. Any coin that is in your pocket, if you look at the edge of the coin, it will have a load of indentations around the circumference of the coin, which means that if you try to clip anything off a coin now, or from any milled coin, it is immediately obvious that that has happened. William set about replacing all the hammered coins with milled edge coins, and to do this he set up mills and mints in Bristol, Chester, Exeter, Norwich and York. as well as the original Royal Mint in London. You can tell which mint a particular coin was made at because just below the bust of his head, in the area with the red circle, if the coin was from Bristol, Chester, Exeter, Norwich or York, there would be a letter below there which B, C, E, N or Y would indicate which mint actually made the coin. This coin has got no letter there, which means that it is a London coin. The photos don't really show the true condition of the coin. It is in remarkably good condition, considering its age. I would estimate that the coin was probably dropped within about 20 years of being minted. So let's say it's been in the ground for roughly 300 years. That's purely a guess, but it would appear to be realistic. So there are some things that we can say for certain about this coin. It was minted in 1696 in the reign of William III. It was part of the recoining exercise that he started to replace the hammered coins with milled edges, and it was minted in London. That much we can say for certain. Now I'm going to speculate about who it was that might have dropped such a coin. My first thought, bearing in mind where I found this coin, as I say it was in the hills above Rushton Spencer, was, could this have been a farmhand? Walking down to what is now the Royal Oak pub, I assume that there was always a pub there, or that there was 300 years ago, on his way out for a beer in the evening. Well, although that is possible, I think it is very unlikely. It's difficult to say exactly what the spending power of a shilling back then would equate to nowadays. However, it would appear to be somewhere between 100 and 200 pounds. Somebody dropping 100 to 200 pounds in a single drop, that's not going to be a farmhand going out for a few beers. Now, with that kind of spending power, I think we can assume that whenever whoever dropped this coin got home or got to where they were going, they would notice that it was missing. I would certainly notice if I had dropped between 100 and 200 pounds. So whoever it was that dropped this coin was presumably rather well off. Bearing in mind that I found this coin in the middle of a field, not at the edge of a field, not near any gates, not near any obvious paths, how did somebody come to be passing that particular spot when they dropped the coin? Well, again, this is speculation. However, if you bear in mind where Swithamley Hall is, and that Swithamley Hall has existed since the late 1500s, it would be entirely possible that somebody from Swithamley Hall, on horseback, heading down to the Royal Oak or to Leek, could well have passed this particular spot, may have been carrying money with them, and may have dropped this particular shilling. It's purely speculation. I'm assuming that the Royal Oak or a similar coaching inn has been there for more than 300 years, or there has been a pub on that site for 300 years. Did the owner of Swithamley Hall actually own the coaching inn or pub? Were they going to collect the rent? Were they heading into Leek to visit their lawyer or do something similar to that? I don't know. We will never know. It's purely guesswork. But there is a reasonable chance that it was somebody from the Swithamley Hall area on horseback, heading to do business, either in Rushton Spencer or in Leek, that dropped this particular coin. So although it's a fairly anonymous coin, it is significant in many ways. The year 1696 was the start of William III's recoinage. We know that the coin was made in London, so somehow it got from London to Staffordshire within about 20 years of being minted. In that area, the more obvious mints would have been Chester or York, but as I mentioned earlier, because there is no letter under the bust of King William, we know that it's a London coin. We know from the approximate spending value of that particular coin that whoever dropped it was fairly well off. We can speculate that they would have noticed that they had lost some money whenever they got to their destination. And we can speculate that it was somebody travelling from Swithamley Hall to either Rushton Spencer or Leek. So despite the coin being quite anonymous, there is a few things that we can actually tell or can speculate about. I hope you've enjoyed that short presentation, and I'd just like to put up a few links which might be of interest to you. If you'd like to learn more about the Congleton and District Metal Detecting Club, the link is https://cdmdc.co.uk. That will show you some things about what the club does, what we've discovered, and so on. The next link is to the Portable Antiquities scheme, which is https://fines.org.uk. Something which metal detectorists are required to do is to abide by the Treasure Act. Now that says that there are certain things which, if they are found, they are treasure and must be notified to the Portable Antiquities scheme. There are people who work for various museums who are called fines liaison officers, and they come out to various metal detecting club meetings, and they will take away anything that qualifies as treasure for identification and logging. What happens from there depends on what they discover. In general, it is decided that although something may be treasure, it's not of particular significance that a museum will want it, so it is returned to the finder. And generally, the finder and the landowner will split the value of whatever it is that has been found by 50-50. Every so often, something really significant is found, though, and this ends up going to the British Museum for further identification, logging, and valuation. And it may be that a museum actually wants to retain the particular find, in which case the finder and the landowner are paid based on the value of the find. If you have a look at that website, you can see examples of the hundreds of thousands of items that have been found by responsible metal detectorists over the years. And the final link is to the Portable Antiquities scheme web page regarding my William III shilling. A single coin doesn't need to be reported to the Portable Antiquities scheme. It was also very clear from the condition of the coin, you could see that it was a William III shilling from 1696, so it didn't need any further identification. It just helps the Portable Antiquities scheme if as many finds as possible are notified to them, they can't tell anything more about the coin than what I have already said in this short talk. However, because we know that this coin was minted in London, we know that in approximately 20 years since being minted, it had travelled over 200 miles. I wonder how many of the coins from the other mints travelled a similar distance in their life. Thank you for listening to this so far. The Congleton and District Metal Detecting Club are always looking for land on which we can detect, as well as sharing any valuable finds with the landowners. We also pay to detect on the land. So if you have any land which might be suitable for metal detecting and where you might be interested in finding a bit of the history of your land, could you please contact us on the Metal Detecting Club website, that's cdmdc.co.uk, and we can discuss the possibilities of detecting on your land and seeing what might be hidden in the ground. Thank you very much. Goodbye.